All right, welcome to Movie to Beer, everybody. This is Dan bringing us in, and we have our usual awesome friends and co-hosts with us tonight.
Thank you for joining. I'm Aaron. I'm your wassailing expert.
Hi there. I'm Blake. I'm your professional elf wrangler.
And I'm Brian. I know all there is to know about snow.
That's cool because this movie has a lot of snow in it. So thanks for joining us, everybody. On this wonderful episode of Movie to Beer, we're going to talk about this crazy film that Brian recommended called Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale. I don't know. Well, explain at the end of the podcast because you got to wait to the end to see why it's called that. Because we were asking that, and
it's a spoiler.
It's a spoiler.
It is a spoiler,
right?
Total spoiler.
Which I will. Should we get into? Are we going to spoil?
No,
movie?
we're not going to spoil this movie.
Let's not spoil it too much.
Right.
Let's just say there is a kaiju in it.
It's the movie as we learned at the end watching the credits. This was released in 2010, so it's not a new film. However, it's a niche film from, I think, a country that's not especially known for its domestic movie industry. This isn't Bollywood. This isn't South Korea. This isn't French film. It's from Finland, and it's fantastic.
And initially Blake said, "God, this looks like The Thing," because
no, that was me.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dan can't tell millennials apart.
I don't know. Somebody said it while we were watching it, and it's like, "Oh, it looks like The Thing." It was like, no, literally, that's one of the reviews. This is an R-rated Santa Claus origin story crossed with The Thing. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, it also isn't any kind of spoiler for casting. Like, there's no women. It also, like The Thing, it's an all-male cast.
It's a serious all-male cast.
It does not pass the Bechdel test.
No, it fails miserably.
So this is not a children's film.
But it is.
But it is not a toxic masculinity film.
No.
In
The child,
any way.
The child does it right. All right. So we knew what we were watching ahead of time, and I was like walking through Fred Meyer going like, "Oh, I gotta get some beers." Oh, hey, Bad Santa from Pelican Brewing. That is a beer that is available during the fall season and winter season, and that's a Cascadian Dark Ale. And then there's Widmer Burr, which they change the recipe periodically. So Widmer Burr is their hoppy red that they do. Sometimes it's a little more spicy than not. Sometimes it's a little less hoppy and more malty.
More like Widmer, am I right?
Burr. Yeah, those are the two beers we drank, and I think both went really well, but we'll talk about those in a little bit. But first, we're going to talk about this crazy-ass movie. So it's like a spot-on parody of like dead beings brought back to life, and all the reindeer died.
Well, it's
all but two.
What's the like horror sci-fi side of Santa Claus?
Yes,
like the not Coca-Cola fat jolly old man marketing Santa Claus. Like,
correct.
What's
Krampus.
the pagan origin of Santa that's going to punish evil or punish misbehaving children? Santa Claus.
I appreciate
Santa Claus.
I appreciate they put that lore building into the credits in a really smooth, organic way. They introduce the phrase of grave robbing,
yes.
and then our lead, Petria, played by Oni Tomiya,
yes.
Tommila, does the research, and you see all these horrifying images of Santa basically as Krampus, smacking kids' butts and putting them in bubbling oil and just
eating
being creepy.
Yeah, and this is filmed and originated in Finland, and this has, if you're going to watch it on Hulu or wherever it's streaming right now, make sure that you turn the subtitles on because it's probably not going to be hard subbed. More than half of it, the dialogue is like all in their native
Lapland.
Lapland.
Yeah. So the stars of the film are the Finnish Lapland people, and there are some evil English-speaking Americans in the film.
Sure are.
A really short guy.
I said it before. That's redundant. Evil Americans is redundant.
Release the evil upon the world. No spoilers there.
Yeah, you see that in the trailer.
Yeah. So this kind of gives you a different idea of the word elf because they're not short and fat. They're definitely not short and fat.
Terrifying.
They're terrifying. When you put out a trap to capture a wolf,
which is illegal.
Which is, there, maybe not. I don't
know.
No,
the guy says wolf traps are illegal. But during the one panic scene, several panic scenes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And be careful what you catch because, when creepy things are happening and all your radiators get stolen and all your ovens get stolen and your hairdryer gets stolen.
Elf mischief. It's kind of Gaelic fairies.
Oh,
They're not all going to be friendly. If you think of like, leprechauns and fairies from like the Irish tradition.
I've seen the Leprechaun documentary series, Aaron. I'm aware of leprechauns.
All right, well, I'm just saying elves are
Especially when he went to the hood and to space.
Well, in a lot of our modern fantasy, we've kind of emasculated elves and made them into this like artsy, weak,
hoity-toity, dancing around.
Tolkien elves, as it were.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Brian. That's exactly what
Or
I'm getting at.
Keebler elves.
Yeah,
Keebler.
Delicious.
Or their
Yes.
cereal being stolen by children, and then the children, if it's Rick and Morty, slice the
Oh,
elf open.
I thought you were going for like a silly Blake tricks are for kids joke.
No,
There.
no. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's the thing for Lucky Charms. Is,
yeah.
the kids are always trying to
me
get
Lucky
cereal.
Charms.
They're always
Right.
trying to get him, and he's like, "No, you can't have this."
So we also, while watching it at the beginning of the film, so the first half of it takes place before they dig up the grave, and you're sitting there going, beautiful scenery, beautiful lighting, very natural
I
setting.
want to talk about the scenery for
Yes,
a moment.
let's- can we,
There was.
please?
I remember when I was in college, there was a film studies person that asked me what movie benefited most from going to the standard TV format to the widescreen format. And I thought for a moment, I was like, I think Lawrence of Arabia, because the desert is a character. You get these widescreen shots of the desert, and it's beautiful. It adds so much more to that film than like a pan and scan would. But this movie, the mountains, the scenery, the light.
Oh God, the lighting.
Yeah, the photography of this film is beautiful.
Yeah.
And we've talked about Krampus and perhaps evil elves. This is not really a horror film
No.
per se.
you
There's
see
nothing
animals.
jumpy,
You see dead animals.
There's maybe
but-
two jump scares
Yeah.
total.
but they aren't that bad.
Nah,
and it's not gory,
No.
and it really is a tale. I mean, it's like kind of like a fairy tale,
Folktale, supernatural, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how to make
Christmas
$85,000 per Santa. I'm going to spoil that one.
$85,000 question.
It's a fun little tease.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, if I were to have seen this, 15 or 20 years ago, and it wasn't the widescreen format, like this movie would have suffered for that.
Oh yeah.
Some of those
Definitely.
expansive outdoor shots, some of those, like even setting up our, I guess, kind of our main villain. We see this person, and like, yeah, they're in a shot, but there's so much beauty in the background of when they're doing their exposition that you can't help but be distracted by the natural beauty of this place that they are. And I think that's set up intentionally, where you're supposed to see this evil American is coming, this evil English speaker, we'll say that, is coming in and sort of desecrating something that's pristine and something that's beautiful. And we notice it in the background because it's right there.
Welcome to humanity.
Yeah. Well, they kept talking about it took the original natives like thousands of years to build the mound, right? They said it took a long time.
Yeah, they lured
the
them in
original
and captured
Sammy, was it?
Sami people.
Sammy people.
Sammy people.
It took them all this time dwarfing the pyramids, dwarfing like all these other great works, and
You ignore the indigenous culture at your own peril. It's kind of
Yep,
like
yep.
an anti-colonial film in that
A
sense.
little bit. We've been on that thread recently. That's kind of what it is.
This is King Woman, but in Finland with snow.
Yes. And the child takes advantage of everyone's stupidity and rescues everyone.
Oh my God, that was a throwaway joke, but it actually kind of works.
Does.
I want to talk about that kid. The kid actor is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is by far the star of the film.
Oh yeah.
He's so endearing.
Yeah.
He's dragging his weird little Vopy.
Yeah.
Uh,
So this is a 7-year-old Finnish kid or Lap kid, right?
This is
Sami kid.
This is the actor Oni Tamiya.
And I mean, he's the star of the show, and he is just endearing and steadfast and adorable.
Yeah, yeah, but without being overly saccharine, like a lot of Disney shows will do, where they're
Yeah.
like finger on their cheek, like, "Oh, I'm so cute." Like this kid, he's a weird little kid,
And he's just living his life and trying to beat Santa.
This is not like a sanitized existence that this kid is living, like a Disney film would be sanitized. Like, no, there are wolves. There
Yeah.
are real dangers in the world. He has a rifle to protect himself from wild animals.
They don't have a
carries it
bathroom in
around.
the house. He has to go and pee in a snowbank.
but his dad
Yeah.
does tell him when he's chopping up that hog, if you're going to come in, close your eyes, because it is
Yeah.
upsetting if you're a kid to see a pig chopped open.
Correct.
But
But if you live in that
his dad is the
environment-
village butcher.
yeah,
Yeah.
Correct. It's like, but when you hit a certain point in a certain age, you have to start helping.
Well, yeah. The
And
kids.
so and all the kids that are older than him, at least his friend that he rides around with on the snow.
Dan, this is a generational value that you're discussing, and also a rural-urban divide
Yep,
that you are
correct.
touching on here too.
I've been exposed to that as a kid who grew up in a city.
Right,
I got invited to the family farm.
right.
And my job was to, as they were castrating the pigs, they would lead them down one at a time, down a chute into the barn. And then they would do the act, and then they would push them down another chute. That would then, my job was to open the door to let them out so other pigs wouldn't come back in through the door that we let them out.
No pigs were castrated in the filming of Rare Exports.
No, but at the beginning, there was a pig getting slaughtered, though.
Well, true, yeah.
So it's
That's
like
the ultimate castration.
And I'm sitting here going,
And we have no idea whether his parts were intact or not.
well, he was kind of cut open and flayed already. So, I mean, the insides were already gone. But I'm sitting there. He was trying to like chop the carcass. He was going down the rib cage trying to split it. And I was like, oh, he kept chopping at it and pushing it in a little bit
an
farther.
axe.
Yeah, with an axe. Because you have to, because they're big carcasses. And if you don't have a machine tool that can cut it open easily. And I know we've really digressed into a completely different conversation in the movie, but it's important because it is a scene in the film that I think reflects his innocence.
Where like he's trying to be a good father for his child.
Correct.
For main character hero.
Correct.
Child.
He's still, and that's one of the reasons why I think he didn't get taken, because he's still innocent. He's done some naughty things, but nothing really evil, nothing bad.
Well, and he did have this sort of moral clarity where he wanted to settle accounts and be punished because he
Correct.
was naughty.
Because he knew
to make himself safe from Santa's
Wrath.
phantasmagoric retribution.
getting taken
Now-
and put in a potato sack.
I would argue, and Brian might agree with me, they were coming for the kid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The reason he didn't get taken is because they set up the Chekhov's wolf pit.
Correct. And
Because
I
we
would
noticed that
agree.
today.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I only noticed that in this viewing of the film.
That's
and,
cool.
And by the way, I have seen this film maybe 10 times.
Hell
It
yeah.
is one of my family's Christmas go-to films.
naked old
we
people
watch,
and all.
we watch this instead of It's a Wonderful Life for Christmas.
So, Brian,
Wow.
on seeing this so many times, is there something from this viewing that you noticed or captured that you hadn't seen previously? Like, is there still more mystery to unfold?
Yes, yeah. The thing that we've been alluding to, the reason the kid wasn't taken was because they trapped Santa.
Well, Santa, quote unquote.
Santa quote
I'm
unquote.
trying not to spoil this.
Oh, yeah, we did
Santa
say we're
quote,
not going to
unquote.
do spoilers. And so I will take a firm stand that I'm anti-spoiler in this podcast. And the reason, dear listener, is that I would encourage you to watch this movie for yourself.
Yes.
I would say two big thumbs up from me, and I think that's kind of everybody here at the table.
Honestly, this is one of the only movies that say you could watch the trailer and still enjoy the movie. Because I watched the trailer.
Trailer
Brian-
doesn't give away nothing.
Yeah, it just gives you. It does what a good trailer does. It gives you the tone. Pardon me. It gives you the imagery of the movie. It gives you the stakes, but without saying too much. It's how James Gunn edits his trailers. Every James Gunn movie, you see what's going to happen, but you still go in like, oh man, I was blown away.
But
Yeah.
for people considering this as maybe a family movie
No.
for Christmas, well, how what's age range is appropriate for people?
Fetus. let your fetus watch it.
Let your fetus watch this
No.
movie.
But like a tween and up.
I would say
Would be
tween and
okay.
up. Yeah.
maybe.
Because again, there's nothing really gory. There's blood like on people and things, but
There are some like incidental nudity, old man elves. I mean, without spoiling
there
too
is
much.
there is some frontal male
It's,
nudity.
it's not sexualized at all.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's
It's
like
just
a medical
dudes
textbook.
running in the
Yeah.
forest.
Right.
And you're like, oh, they got to be really cold because if it's being shot outside on location, it got to be
Yeah.
cold because it's snowing. And I'm
They
just
have
like, oh,
real commitment to their artistry.
yes, they did.
You know what? Check with Kate Blanchett what she thinks is the correct age because this is one of her favorite movies.
Is it really?
There's only 4 pieces of trivia on this movie. We've covered most of it, and that's the last
Yeah.
piece. It's one of her favorite movies.
And I will say we have turned my in-laws onto this film, and they now watch it every Christmas.
That's delightful.
that and Die Hard, our previous movie and a beer.
Ah, yes, I remember when all the
Episode.
elves showed up in Die Hard.
I think our listeners might be realizing we're doing Christmas movies for a while.
yeah, at least for this month.
I mean, I say it a lot on the Instagram and here.
It's all good. I want to again go back to how much Brian, as somebody who worked or works in that industry a little bit, and I know a little filming and photography and stuff. How much of that do you think was the external floodlights in order to see stuff. But like in the beginning of the film, like he's on top of a mountain and it looks like natural light. Like they are literally, this does not look like a soundstage. They're on top of a freaking
It looked like they caught golden hour or the twilight hour, whatever that's called.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this is Finland.
Yeah.
So clearly they don't have a lot of light there during the winter, probably 4 hours of daylight.
Mm-hmm.
But the first few scenes were clearly natural light, and it was beautiful. I mean, they caught the sunset. There were some scenes that were kind of twilight golden hour type stuff later as they were driving to
town.
Driving to town.
I so badly want to just jump in. You mean that one scene and then just describe it?
I will punch
won't.
you.
Just know that the comedic brain recognized it. I knew it would be funny, but I'm being respectful to my co-hosts.
There was no CG.
No,
I'll say that.
I want to say I didn't see. Other than the pit scene where they throw the the drilling's done, the flare.
There's a helicopter,
and there's also a helicopter flying around, and that's also in the trailer.
I mean, there were some practical effects, and there were some composited shots.
Yeah.
And then the makeup.
Right.
Yes.
But all the makeup and the effects all serve a narrative and all serve a story.
Yeah. They weren't there just for the effects to show off their effects in their budget.
Yeah.
And as a national
treasure.
No, as a national film company, the Finland people don't have a lot of.
There's not a lot of money there.
They don't have a lot of money to make films for their national cinema.
Other than selling those kaiju horns.
Yeah. So anyway, it was refreshing to see a really astute Finnish film.
Yes.
Because we haven't seen this world. We don't see a lot of swimmy people, Sami people.
I was going to say, like, I've seen Norwegian movies, and Swedish movies, like these horrible, wonderful, dark detective,
like the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Aren't those
Finnish films?
Swedish.
Those are Swedish. Okay.
So, like Norwegian and Swedish. There's some psychological horror that's done really, really well with Scandinavia. But like less so Finland. I know less about Finland. I know a little bit less. Like I think I've seen maybe one other Finnish movie. I can't think of one, but
did you finish it?
No. He probably did, but that's a bad joke.
I
have an empty can I'm about to throw at you.
One thing we did finish was our beers.
We did finish our beers. All right. So anything else about the movie before we move on? I would say not necessarily kid appropriate because there is some casual
tween appropriate,
middle teenage and up because there's nothing they haven't seen already.
Well, are we going to say we're selling this as kind of like a Christmas coming of age movie,
Christmas adjacent?
A Christmas folklore.
It's a Christmas folklore. I'm like the kid literally has like a calendar he's opening and he keeps like
the Advent
I'm going to keep the Advent calendar and he keeps like closing. He puts tape over it and then he staples it and he's like I'm not opening that door.
He's trying to save himself.
This is not a Lifetime Christmas film.
Oh no.
But
it's good.
You're telling me
it takes place at Christmas.
Yes,
and it's a charming, endearing folklore film.
Yes. Okay.
I've recommended it to several people, my family included, and everyone has liked this film.
I can see why.
Well, we'll have to get some people who are more discerning in their taste to give us some feedback. But I would agree. I think anybody who has a sense of humor about Christmas and understands that there are other stories out there to be told. It's not all what you've been fed by Coca-Cola and their imagination as a corporate entity. Because we kind of talked about that a little bit. There's a lot of like this is the anti-corporatism,
a little bit. But
I made a joke about how this is a capitalist movie. Cool. You know what else is capitalistic? Selling beer.
Oh yes, it is. This is the moment on our podcast that we're going to start talking about beer.
Although Brian's transition was better. I want that on the
it was really well done.
I totally sidetracked that. Sorry. We had a couple of really good beers with this. We started out with Widmer Brewing, which has been a brewery here in the Portland area since 1984. Been around a long time. They started bottling a lot of their stuff, and then when COVID hit, they started canning, and maybe even a little before that.
My understanding is like the Widmer, the Hefeweizen back in the day, kind of put Portland on the map for microbrews.
It did.
It was like the clear water.
They were about the third major brewery that opened up at that time frame. Bridgetown Brewing was the first place. Mm-hmm. They were opened by the Ponzi family. They had a winery, and they decided to make beer. And these guys, so Rob and Kurt Widmer, are very well known within the homebrew community because they were homebrewers before they opened the brewery. And the Widmer Hefeweizen was what actually did, put them on the map, because it's not quite a serious, and we're digressing into something not related to what we drank, but that's okay. Widmer Hefeweizen's been around forever.
Well,
They shifted the recipe a little bit, but it is still more lemony, cloudy American Hefeweizen. It is not a Bavarian.
Well, I mean, it kind of sets up who Widmer is for those listeners that maybe aren't from Portland and aren't familiar.
What are they still a microbrewery though?
I think
Because I feel like they're pretty well nationally known.
They are. So
I mean, I knew them in Southern California when I
they're not a microbrewery; they're a macrobrewery at this
Macrobrewery.
point because they're owned by a conglomerate of 4 major breweries. The location here in Portland actually cut back a lot on the Widmer beers that they were making, and when they got bought out, they shifted to doing Kona Brewing. Oh. They're the ones who make all the Kona beer you see in America. It's not made in Hawaii; it's made there.
Well, Hawaii's
and other
America,
places.
Well, no, I
mean, not
I
mainland.
assumed from the pricing it wasn't made in Hawaii and shipped over. That'd be much more
That would
expensive.
be
Most
amazing.
every Hawaiian beer would show up skunked here. Like,
it would.
Yeah.
Burr is the name of this beer. It's a hoppy red, really delicious ale. And
Yeah.
if you can find it at pretty much any grocery store or convenience store. It's put out during the fall, winter, and late spring or early spring. 7.2 ABV, 50 IBUs. It's got pale malt, caramel 10, caramel 80, carapils, and dark chocolate. So it's going to have a darker color, a nice full body, and it uses Alchemy, Eureka, and Cascade hops. So the Eureka and the Cascade are really common. The Alchemy, not so much. The Alchemy is what's going to give you a little bit of that aromatic and a little bit of that bitterness up front. The overall tasting profile is like a citrus hop aromatic, and that, again, is going to come from some of the Alchemy and the Cascade. It's got the complex malt sweetness is really, really nice.
I liked that malt. So I am a seasonal beer skeptic. I
very
think
smooth.
sometimes it's more about marketing and market share than like this seasonal tradition for a beer for a certain time of year. But I liked the Burr a lot. I like red ales generally. I don't necessarily like a lot of like over hopped IPAs. The hop sometimes it gets to be too tired for me.
Correct.
But this Burr, it gave me this kind of warm, Christmas-y feeling of contentment of like, it is cold, it is winter, it is dark, and here's a beer that matches the holiday season.
And
like,
so
this is a nicely done seasonal.
And so it became this winter season that Aaron's liver grew 3 sizes larger to enjoy the joy of Widmer Brothers Burr Hoppy Red. And they had roast beast, whatever the hell that is, and he talked to a little girl named Cindy. It was great.
Who's Cindy?
Cindy Lou Who. I'm doing the Grinch, bro.
Oh, I didn't.
There
catch
were
that.
no women in this film.
God, there weren't.
There was
like a
one
thing
woman alluded to.
Yeah.
about a hair dryer, which is kind of misogynist.
Well, no, not that too, but the absence of a woman who previously was there.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
frigid. That's called frigid.
2 women
You
alluded
you,
to.
you make cookies like Mom made. I like your ginger cookies.
But now we're talking about gingerbread and a movie, and
which
not
would go
with
really
Burr.
good. Gingerbread cookies.
Yeah,
would go
if
really
you're gonna
good with
watch
both
this
of these
movie,
beers.
have some gingerbread
Oh,
cookies.
yes, get some
Yes.
gingerbread first. You will not regret it.
It was not my intention to grade into cookie recommendations. I was trying to do a Grinch bit because
they do.
Aaron said it perfectly with the it's nice.
Yeah.
And his
He's-
liver
he's-
grew 3 sizes too big.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Well, they do have gingerbread cookies throughout, like the middle and towards the end, and they use them as bait.
Would the cookies
I
go?
wanted some
And,
gingerbread
and they
cookies.
would go great with this beer.
They
Would the
This
And the
movie.
cookies
movie.
go with the other beer we had?
Yes, they go with both
Yes.
beers actually because of the malt profile being a little sweet.
Yeah.
and the bitterness would be cut a little bit or match up to the ginger profile because ginger tends to hit people as a little hot spice.
Welcome to Movie and a Cookie, everybody.
No, we're gonna
Dibs. TM.
I would say the 2 beers are not real far apart for me, at least.
I would
in the-
disagree. They
All right,
have
very good.
completely different flavor profiles.
I got more malt and more hop off of the Burr than off
Yeah.
of Bad Santa.
yeah, okay.
What's the Bad Santa's deal?
Okay, so Bad Santa CDA, which is a Cascadian Dark Ale, or otherwise known as a Black IPA, as they're referred to commonly, has been around for a while. They've made it for probably, I think,
What,
5 or 6 years. during
They
the
being
Christmas holiday.
Pelican.
Pelican Brewing,
And
which
they
is
originally were at like, is it Newport or
Cape Kiwanda, Pacific City.
Yes, Pacific City. Thank you.
They,
Yeah.
they have a brewery in Tillamook.
Yes, they actually have 4 locations on the coast now.
There's a nice.
Which is crazy.
All the tap rooms I've been to have been really nice experiences.
They're really,
yeah,
really
yeah.
well done. The people that work there mean really well, and I had really good experiences with them at the few times that I've been out to the coast and been to their various locations. We have a friend who used to work for Pelican Brewing, so I can't really
Yep.
badmouth them too much because he gave us a lot of free beer.
I mean, I wouldn't badmouth Pelican anyway. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
nice brewery,
Yeah.
and it's
So-
they
so
do
the-
good beer.
But it's funny that we haven't done Pelican yet for the podcast.
I know.
It's weird it hasn't come up.
I mean, in my personal life, the cream ale they do is one.
Ooh,
that
I love the cream
Yeah.
ale.
Yeah,
We'll have to fit that in somewhere. So this is a 2-row malt Maladonian. I can never say that word right. Malt dehusked black malt, which means the husk have been taken off, which means you're going to get a different flavor from the sugar. Magnum hops, Fogel hops, Willamette, Cascade, and then pure ale yeast. And it doesn't say where that comes from. And then, of course, Oregon water, because Oregon water is amazing.
It's so good. It's why there's so many good ramen restaurants here.
Yes, there's a lot of roasted malt character. It's kind of a deep reddish brown color, and there's an herbal hopness to it that's on the front, and it's just a really nice black IPA. So it's got a little bit of that hit of roast, and a little bit and that hops is up front, and it's well balanced from that aspect. But it is like again a 7.5 ABV and 65 IBU, so it is not a small beer.
there's a lot of hop that I get. I don't think of this as like there's more malt going on than what I think of for most IPAs.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I don't think they do it year round. This would be more of a seasonal beer because of that.
But also,
IPAs can
it's
be
also
sweeter.
Bad Santa. Santa's a Christmas thing.
Well, it's got a pelican with a Santa hat on it, and it's
And
like
smoking a
biting
cigar.
those-
It's
and it's
great.
smoking a cigar.
You think that's a cigar? I thought that was a doobie.
I looked at it. I've noticed it today,
Looks
so
like
I
a
could be
cigar.
wrong.
It could be a cigar. I don't know. Brian, what do you think that looks like?
That's
So-
a cigar, you narc.
Santa knows
that's,
Mary
That's
Jane.
a cigar.
Really?
That's a
Yeah,
cigar.
bro, it's
that's
a
a
cigar.
cigar.
A
Oh.
joint would be closed at the end with a smaller trail of smoke, and he'd have red eyes underneath those.
Or at
sunglasses.
least it would be white wrapping papers.
Yeah.
You can put a joint in brown. This is a digression.
But real potheads, so welcome to Movie in a Pot.
Movie and a hit.
Movie in a marijuana.
All right, so I'm going to read you what's on the side of the bottle because they have a whole paragraph of explanation that doesn't actually explain much.
Oh, I was reading.
ready to get read
I was
too.
reading that marketing copy.
You better
It's-
watch out. All right, so hopefully we're not going to hit any copyright issues because this does kind of sound like a holiday song.
Don't
You
worry.
better
Brian
not-
L will sing Beatles music over it to cover it.
Here comes the sun. Na-na-na-na.
Yeah. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. And here's telling you why. Bad Santa has arrived, brewed for a limited time. Each holiday season, this mysterious dark nectar is filled with complex flavors and aromas. Toasted malt and roast character blend seamlessly with the alluring herbal hop aroma that comes from the copious amounts of Fuggle hops. Bad Santa doesn't care if you've been naughty or nice, as long as this beer is in your fist.
Christmas time.
Or on your list, not in your fist. I thought it said in your fist, which would make more sense than on your list. But yeah,
That might get us struck.
so one of the things that I always admire about these sort of smaller to mid-sized breweries is what they do with their bottles. And this is a custom
that?
bottle that they do for this
Oh,
beer.
yeah.
This
it's
bottle
super cool.
is not a normal, just smooth bottle all the way. So it's a standard brown. It's got like all kinds
Haystack
of
rock. It's got
it's got haystack rock on the upper portion of the bottle.
For our non-Oregonian listener, there might only be one. The Haystack Rock is a very famous geological formation off the coast where a lot of the surrounding rock has eroded away. It's really picturesque, really beautiful, very famous spot here, kind of regionally. But I think that also kind of cements Pelican Brewing. Like it is a coastal outfit. It is a coastal concern. I don't think of Pelican as being a Portland brew pub. I think of them as being a coastal brew pub.
Yes. exactly. And for those that haven't had the chance that are here locally to get out there and try them, I really highly recommend. Again, most of their locations have food. You can
Nice
go there for
burgers
lunch or dinner and get. They have local stuff that's not available in can or bottle that they do not distribute outside of their locations, because every brewery hits that point where it's like, hey, we have our core beers, we're always making those, and then we want to play around and learn some new recipes. And I appreciate what they've done. Both of these beers, I think, really went well with the movie. It's going to be hard for me to figure out which one to recommend more than the other.
Oh, I got one.
You like the Bad Santa more?
The Burr. I
you
think
like
the
the
Burr
Burr more.
Actually, between the two, I would choose to drink the Bad Santa, like if I was at home, wanting a nice Christmas beer. But the Burr has so much of that seasonal Christmas sort of memory, and so many of those flavor notes that it just feels festive. It feels of the holiday season to me, and it just matched that movie so well because the movie is also festive and of that holiday season. The Burr is a Christmas beer for me.
I'm not as far as Aaron is, but I was leaning towards the Burr as well. I mean, I do like the Bad Santa. For thematic reasons, I think I'd prefer to drink that watching the actual Bad Santa movie. The first one, not the second one. But I feel like the Burr goes a little bit more wider range.
I actually like the Bad Santa better with this film.
I'll kill you! No, what? Why, I guess.
I would say it actually was a little more mellow for me, for my palate.
I can see that.
And so as I kind of dug into the movie and enjoyed it for my 15th viewing,
So good.
I really enjoyed that beer with it because it kind of just was a comfortable beer.
Very nice. I highly recommend, if you can find a seasonal beer, if you're going to watch this movie, find something seasonal oriented.
Yeah, don't hold your summer beers for this. It won't make any sense.
Correct. Well,
The
I mean, you
taste
can
won't
just,
line
if
up.
you want something light, you're just going to drink like a lager or something, sure, whatever. But,
Who drinks a lager for Christmas?
you'd be surprised. There's black lagers out there that are actually really roasty and good.
Well, okay.
I have some in the
that's
fridge.
Blake, were you airing out your armpits?
No, I drink lagers all the time.
He does.
Christmas and St. Patrick's
All right,
Day.
so this is the point where I'm going to say there's some funny, goofy stuff about this film. As if you go to like IMDb and look it up, there's some interesting, spoofy, goofy things that happen. So we talked about this takes place in Norway, but this is above Finland. This is
They're Swedes.
This is
Don't look at
this
me.
is
I didn't
above
say it.
It was a thing joke.
this is above the Arctic
yes.
Circle, and it's on the border with Russia. So if you know anything about that geography, the sun sets well before, like at the beginning of December, and does not rise until the beginning of January. Like there is no daylight. So when they show it during the film, he's got his little advent calendar, and he's like, "Oh, it's day," and they actually show it flips. It's like how many days till Christmas?
I like that graphic, by the way. The heavy metal flip turn date counter going gong.
X days to Christmas.
Yeah.
And there's also some other obvious kind of plot holes and maybe, I guess you would say, continuity issues. But I think from a Christmas film and from a film that does really well from telling a good story, because it's a Christmas tale
It is.
or a Christmas story, I think it's really well done. I can't say don't watch it. I definitely suggest people watching it, but just be aware that this is not a kid's film. There's some language, but it's spoken in another language. So get the subtitles on, and
You'll have to
enjoy it.
read those F-bombs. There's not
Yes.
too many.
No, it's a pretty relatively chill film.
No.
And watch it with someone else.
Yeah.
Yes, watch it
This
with
is
your
not a
friends.
fun film to kind of watch alone. It's
No.
fun to hang out and talk with friends or family.
It's only an hour and 24 minutes, and there's
Yeah.
there's at least 5 minutes of intro, and then there's at least 10 minutes or close to 10 minutes of credits.
Our resident expert Brian was saying earlier, though, that this was like a family ritual he had for this
Yes.
movie, and I think that maybe is the very best way to watch this.
Yeah.
Make it a ritual. Watch it with a holiday. Watch it with people you love. You will not be disappointed.
That's a perfect segue for the question I was going to ask everyone. So, Brian, you guys watch this like every year for the holidays.
Yes, yeah.
I'm curious what everyone else watches. If you do, what do you guys watch for the like every year for the holiday, for Christmas or anything?
Easy. For me, it is the Peanuts, like Charlie Brown
That's
Christmas,
a good one.
and for me, and that might be because of my age and also my geographic location of when I was brought up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Charles Schultz is from St. Paul, Minnesota.
Is he?
Oh yeah, you
Oh,
betcha.
cool.
Oh yeah, he's a Minnesotan there, don't you know?
Is that why Charlie Brown always talks like this?
No, No,
Not
he's
at
from
all.
up north. But no, for me, the Charlie Brown specials, like some of the Thanksgiving ones are really dated and kind of racist. But
The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
But yeah, the
Halloween, Daniel.
Yeah, the Great Pumpkin one, the Christmas one, some of the other ones. It just gives me warm, happy memories. Like I love those. Get some pumpkin pie and watch Charlie Brown. That's like a great Thanksgiving.
I think that was one of the first things they had kids doing voice work for.
Yeah.
'Cause you can tell they're kids talking.
Womp 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 womp.
That's an adult era, and you can't trick me.
Womp 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 womp.
Yeah, I'll go do the dishes.
All right. Well, what do you watch, Blake?
Boy, what don't I watch? Elf has made its way into my rotation every year. I don't care if you don't like Will Ferrell. That movie's amazing. He's such a big dumb sweetheart. Ed Asner as Santa is flawless. James Caan as the grumpy bad guy, kind of. Peter Dinklage being a cranky writer. It's such a fun, dumb, silly, good movie.
Nice.
And then all the TV shows like Community and
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
So, Brian, what else do you watch besides this amazing film?
Well, I
Anything?
watch Die Hard,
Oh, yeah.
which I
Wait,
mentioned.
why?
Yeah. It's not Christmassy, is it?
It's in L.A. They don't celebrate Christmas there.
LA. There's palm trees on the street.
And we watched Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Rankin Bass animated.
yeah.
Like the stop motion.
The
I
stop
love those
motion.
old-
Claymation,
yeah.
baby.
Super classic.
The Island of Misfit Toys, all of
Oh,
those.
it's all about
When I grow up, I'm going to be a dentist.
Yes,
with the drill.
Herbie.
Herbie the elf.
And Dan, what do you watch for Christmas?
I watch the Christmas Doctor Who special because the
Nice.
episode where it's Christmas year round.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it. But I've heard about
it's
that.
depressing as hell.
Which doctor is that?
I knew you were going to say that, and I can't remember his name.
Is it the one with the scarf?
Peter,
No.
Capaldi.
Is it a
Peter
newer one?
Capaldi?
It's not Peter Capaldi. It's before him.
Before
Anyway.
him.
Matt Smith.
I can.
No, he's after.
No, he was before Peter Capaldi.
Was he?
Yeah. Let's see. David Tennant is another choice, and
David Tennant's-
Christopher
isn't he coming-
Eccleston was the
Yeah, Eccleston was apparently popular. I've
I
seen
liked
one episode of Doctor Who and then thought, it's not for me.
Oh, you need to give it more of a chance. I think you would really like
There's
it.
so much of it, man. It's too much for me to take on.
So they
I'm
also
a completionist.
they also every year do a Christmas special where the older doctors come back. But there is actually
Oh,
I think
fun.
it's David Tennant. I think that's the one
David
that I'm thinking
Tennant.
of where it's Christmas Town and it's Christmas year round and he has to keep inventing and doing things to keep the town safe, and it occurs in his lifetime over like 50 years. So like the kids when he first gets there, so he like takes this village and like transplants it somewhere else and protects them from whatever's trying to get at them.
It sounds a little bit like The Good Place.
A little
I
bit.
love that show.
A little bit. But anyway, we're digressing into other topics. So
they don't
this
have
is-
they don't have a Christmas episode.
so
No, they don't.
so I'm going to try to pronounce this word, and Aaron, you pronounce the name of
It's
the mountain.
spelled THE. Why are you having trouble with that word?
It's really tall. It's an actual mountain. They filmed on location.
Korvan Unturi.
That's a
I don't
really-
speak Finnish, dude. I like Norwegian is
you just
easy
did.
compared to this.
Yeah, it's a lot of syllables, and I'm like, I don't know how to say that.
Korvan Unturi. Korvan Unturi.
Korvan
They said
to-
syllable wrong.
Our one Finnish listener will write in an angry email and
Ugh, those Finns still sending letters.
Good beers, good film. Watch it if you
Yeah.
can.
Good friends.
Good friends. Do it with family. Just know that there is a little nudity in it towards the end, but it's
not the kind I'd be
it's
embarrassed to
not
watch with my
gratuitous.
mom.
Yeah,
Like,
no, not
you know,
even
yeah.
because it's like
Yeah.
old people and they're freezing in the snow. So.
Right, yeah. It's not like Amelie. I watched that with my mom and
There's
there's
nothing sexual about that.
that was a mistake. This movie would be fine.
Great movie, not with your mom.
Exactly.
All right. So, as always, the opinions expressed during the taping of this recording are those of the hosts, and some of us drink some water, and we're hydrating.
By that he means Blake drank water. I'm the only one to drink water because I'm the one who cares about myself as a hydro homie. So if you don't hydrate, you're gonna dihydrate.
Santa's gonna take and steal you.
The
away.
water elves are
Thank
good-
you with the switch.
The water elves are gonna get you.
Yeah, they are.
Sure.
All right. So, all right. Thanks for listening, everybody, and hanging out. We'll do some more holiday episodes in the very near future. So, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you in the near future. So,
This is Aaron. Thanks for listening and happy holidays.
Ho ho ho.
This is Brian. Thanks for listening. Have a happy holiday.
all right. We'll catch you on the next episode. Take care, everyone.
Don't tell me how to live my life.